Welcome back. This week, we are just moving through our map of change and we are looking at accountability, this really defining space of success, not the kind that we judge ourselves for in order to get stuck in that performance trauma. I needed a breath on that one. But the kind that gives you grace, the kind for a vulnerability so that you can be present and really show up in your success. And if you ever had shame and guilt and those shoulda, couldas that seem to hinder your performance and tank your motivation, this week is for you. Because accountability is when we stop outsourcing our success to external locus of control and this chance and these things that we bump into. And we're starting to be real and honest with our success. We start showing up for ourselves instead of showing up for our circumstances. And at that moment of peace, of presence, lies accountability. Because it's not that we're showing up perfectly, but we are showing up truthfully. And we're showing up all the way in our presence with this vulnerable existence and humility. Accountability is the turning point where the map of success becomes embodied. It's where clarity becomes commitment and commitment becomes movement. It looks like being honest about where you are without collapse or denial. Naming what you need instead of abandoning yourself. Being willing to be seen even by your own self-awareness. It's choosing purpose over perfection. So let's look at what accountability isn't. How we have used that language of discipline, because it's coming up a lot this week. As we look at change, and we're going to have a webinar in a couple of weeks. So go and register, get started. It's going to be an amazing event. What we see is that value and purpose and capacity and motivation all kind of sit together and they want to stay together. I've talked about this before. And what we're going to map out in that event is what is capping it and how do we remove that cap? Because what we've been sold this January on any program that you bought to buy New You, New Year, New You, is you bought motivation. You didn't buy value or capacity because that is only from within. You can't buy it. And so as that motivation's high, what we're doing is using the language of discipline and this perceived expectation, perceived reality, this performance trauma feedback loop. And those OG feedback loops that are lying under the surface of the foundation of lasting change, we get cycled in it. And as we're cycled in it, all we're doing is stripping our soil of nutrients and creating quicksand for ourselves. And as we're doing that, we're just kind of imploding on ourselves, and then we're starting to bring people down with us. And so a part of that is the language of discipline, is the self-doubt, and then of course perceived control. And as we take on radical acceptance, as we find our value by living our internal values and not external expectations, as we start to find balance, empowerment, and intention, and that language of discipline, what we find is we're no longer putting the shoulda, couldas out there. We're no longer having these, if I was only had more willpower, if I was only stricter. Instead, what we're doing is being present with ourselves, allowing life to present to us, and being able to respond the way that we want to, instead of all of this reaction that we get into. Because unhealthy accountability is reacting with our past in the forefront of our mind, having shame and guilt about the way we reacted, avoiding getting involved in other behaviors that's only going to cause more shame and guilt, seeking out perceived control as a way of getting into more and more avoidance techniques. It causes us to restrict, to take out anything that would cause any type of lackadaisical laziness, all those things that we think are what prevent us from being successful and owning our failure. And then it starts to create this self-doubt, and it really impedes and erodes our self-esteem. And this is happening every day, and it's happening with everyone. And we are right in the precipice of being in a place where we are going to be questioning those silly resolutions. I'm not saying we should or could have not done that one. I'm just saying the experts say it doesn't do anything for you. We need to ground, find our presence, and build those goals, not resolutions. And that's what we're going to get rid of today, and we're going to be honest with ourselves. So let's get going. So the next part of my framework is acceptance. Can I meet myself here where I'm at? And if I can't, what are the barriers that are holding me back from being present with myself and meeting myself right here and now? And there's a lot of time people are like, I feel like acceptance is like easy. Let's go to action. That sounds more fun. It's not. You can spend 6 months in therapy just working on acceptance. Because why? The gratitude spectrum. Logically, I know. Emotionally, I can't feel. And so many times, I even did this recently, and my clients bring it up and they're like, I heard what you said and I understood what you said, but it's like I had to hear it, 10 times before it actually landed. Well, that is technically it's 13 times before it lands, so I'm doing really good. Adult education says that it's about 13 times. It used to be 7. Now we're up to 13 times before you have to hear something and digest it before it actually lands. So it's about average. It's right there. It's what we expect. So acceptance. This is just the way the brain works. There's no value in shame or guilt. And finally, it's all about the action, that micro step that we take. What's one purpose-driven step that we can take that allows us to move forward? And even if we don't move forward, as we talked about last month, even if you're running in a circle, you're doing it with intention and recovery and reset, go for it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Time can be something that weighs on you, and time can be what heals you and brings you up, because you can just give it to time and eventually it will happen. So find those action steps. That's where coaching is really important. So if you want those action steps given to you, book a coaching session. We'll give you exactly the playbook. Behavior is predictable, and there's a framework for success, and we've got it, and we'll offer it to you. So if you don't want to go through all of these, weekly challenges, book a coaching session. 1 to 3 session remission rate. Like, we get things done. I am really good at what I do. I have a lot of good insight. The insight comes, the aha moments get there, and then we immediately meet it to where you are at, and we make really meaningful steps forward. So go check it out. So this week, it's really important for you to show up with vulnerability, humility, and purpose. That is what accountability is all about. That is the landmark that we're finding and building on our map, is we're looking at this ability to be present in the here and now with awareness, acceptance, action, and being able to say, this is where life is presenting to me, so let me be present and see what I want to do with this. That's all it is just be present so that you can choose how you want to respond. So take a moment this week to sit with that. Look at how you're interacting and just say, am I reacting or am I responding? No judgment, just write it down. And you'll start to see a pattern of the times you react and the times you respond. And that is your key, to start looking at that and getting curious so that you understand where the triggers are and you can show up before the reaction even takes off. That's the secret. So as always, we've got a worksheet down below, so go take a look. There's reflection questions, there's activities, there's key ideas for you to walk away with. It's all there for my exclusive content for paid subscribers. So go check it out. It will change your life. We are building a map of success this month, and we're doing it with my framework. So please subscribe, stay connected. We've got so much good stuff for you.